What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week it is episode 308, and we are crossing enemy lines and going into Sega territory with Vectorman for the Sega Genesis. This is one of the Genesis games that I've actually wanted to cover on the show the longest. As many of you know, I grew up a Nintendo kid. Most of my Sega Genesis experience as a lad was at my dentist office, the waiting room, or was either playing Sonic or Echo the Dolphin. We know how that all turned out. But my friend Adam had a Sega Genesis, and at one point we traded that for my Super Nintendo for a short time, and the one he lent me came with Sonic 2 and this little title called Vectorman. And I mostly played Sonic, but I did dabble a little in Vectorman, and I always thought it was just a really cool fucking video game. I loved the way it looked, liked the way it plays. It was a game that made me a little jealous of the jealous of the Genesis. That is now, I'm coining that trademark. You can't have it. Jealous is when you were a Super Nintendo kid jealous of the Sega Genesis. So if you've never played Vectorman, it's like it's a little bit Mega Man-y. In the sense, like, there's some platforming. You're controlling a robot that's running around, shooting pellets out of his arm or his hand or whatever the fuck, in this case, fighting other robots. What's cool with Vectorman is that he's made up entirely of balls, or he's got balls or orbs, and they look so cool because they're all kind of floating around each other as he's running around, jumping and shooting, and you can transform into different stuff like bombs and drills and planes, and it's can you be a plane? I guess like a rocket, whatever. So it's a pretty competent run and gun platformy kind of shooter. I don't think it's as good as Mega Man. I don't think it's quite as good as like a Gunstar Heroes or a Contra or any of those games, but I quite like it. The graphics are the standout feature with Vectorman, and I think it really speaks to just how good the graphics in this game are, because I very rarely do graphics matter that much to me. Like, I'll like nice graphics, but like when that's the number one thing I take away from a game, I'm like, is that game that good? And I think this game is good, but the graphics are just that much better. I think it's the best looking game on the Genesis, at least that I've played so far. So sue me. It is tough too, which I like. I like my game. I like my retro games. Like I like my rye bread. I like it kind of tough. So I was trying to think of what I could compare to that I like tough, because I'm soft and I don't like anything tough. My guest this week is my buddy Andre. You may remember him from the Echo the Dolphin infamous episode here on the show and a bunch of others. And this was a much, much chiller episode than Echo the Dolphin, because we talked about Andre's memories with Vectorman growing up. We talked about with my experiences with it over the last couple of weeks, the stuff we would have improved, the stuff we thought was perfect. And again, we gushed and rambled on about the graphics some more. And we're going to get to all that in just a minute, because speaking of gushing and rambling on, it's time for another edition of the Remember the Game infamous intro. If you're new to the podcast, welcome aboard. Listen, consider this your warning. Our intros are a little bit long. They're not that long. They're a little long, but they're fun. We talk video games and stuff. It's a good time. And they feature 80% less balls than Vectorman. And I'm going to apologize right now for all the hacky balls jokes this week. As a comedian, I'm disappointed in myself that I leaned into the balls shtick so hard. So I'll own that. But seriously, if you do want to skip the intro, go to about the 30-minute mark. You'll be into Vectorman talk. Give us a shot. Let us talk some video games with you. I got to get my plugs out of the way. It's how I keep the bills on around here. Quick heads up, too. If you are not a Patreon, but you've been like, man, I wonder what the Patreon is like. If you go to patreon.com/rememberthegame now, I have set up a collection, and the instructions on how to find it are on the main page there, of a dozen Patreon episodes for free. 3 Rambling Idiots, 3 expansion passes, 3 game patches, and 3 Purple Monkey dishwashers, all just free. You can just listen to them right there on the Patreon. No charge. You don't even have to. It's quick and painless if you want to see what our Patreon is all about. We have all kinds of merchandise. You can find it all at rememberthegamepodcast.com. Shout out to my man Joe from 4545 Creative for designing it. And again, as you know, we've got a Patreon. It's about the best deal in the history of the world. In addition to those free shows that anyone can just listen to, our Patreons get up to 4 new ad-free podcasts every week. Purple Monkey Dishwasher, our Simpsons podcast, my vlogging show, The Rambling Idiot, our gaming news podcast, Game Patch, and our secondary video game show, Expansion Pass, where we just do rankings, character and console episodes, comedies, game reviews, whatever we want. Last week, it was Expansion Pass 225. Vectorman got me thinking about the Genesis and all the games I've played for it over the years, so I decided to take my first stab at ranking my favorite Genesis games. I expect this list to change as I experience more Sega goodness, but I think this is a pretty solid starting point, and as is becoming tradition, here is a sneak peek of last week's episode of Expansion Pass, my top 10 Sega Genesis games. Castlevania Bloodlines, which we reviewed, I don't know, about 6 months ago. Great 16-bit Castlevania game. I loved it. Now, I had Castlevania Bloodlines as my number 11, but then Ghostbusters, which I had in at 10, got bumped out of the top 10 and into number 11. If you've not played it, the Sega Genesis Ghostbusters is awesome. It's the only good retro Ghostbusters game. It's really fucking good. I had it at number 10, but then I had to do some moving around because one of you wrote in about a game that I had totally forgotten about that I had played, and it actually got slotted into my top 5. That would have been a travesty if I had done this countdown and forgotten this game. So you'll find out what it is when we get to it. It's coming up later on in the list, but let's do it into my top 10. I think the game I have slotted in at number 10 is going to shock some people. If you're driving, put your hazards on and just grip the steering wheel, okay? Number 10 on my 10 favorite Genesis games of all time. And that's now available in our archives. And this week for Expansion Pass 226, I'll be honest, I needed to turn to the community to do some of the heavy lifting this week as we are moving on Wednesday. So it is a classic Ask Adam Anything episode. We got questions about video games, podcasting, wrestling, sports, food, who would win a fight between Molly and Moose. It's all in there. That'll be available for Patreons ad-free on Thursday, okay? Again, subscriptions start at $3 a month. You get new shows every week, instant access to there's over 600, I think about 650 ad-free bonus podcasts in our archives right now. Plus, you can join our Discord. You get to vote in our Patreon polls. You get to submit comments for the shows. You can DM with me, and you even get a shout-out and get to hear me mispronounce your name like I'm about to do to most of these people. A huge thank you. Actually, I think I'm going to nail all of these. I don't think there's one here I'm going to ruin. A huge thank you to all of our newest Patreons. George, Lighty's World, Force Ghost Goose, Doogie Bowser MD, I like that, Parker, Marco Montana, Michael Johnson, and Scooch. I think I got all of those right. Holy fuck. Thank you so much for the support and welcome to Remember the Game Industries, patreon.com/Remember the Game. And I'm over on Twitch whenever I have time. Hopefully next week I'll be on there a couple of times. Twitch.tv/Remember the Game. That's enough blowing myself. Let's blow some of you by blowing in some cartridges. It is our opening segment here on the show. I read a few comments and questions from our Patreons, usually gaming related, but not always. And we call this segment Blowing in the Cartridge.
He blows all right. He blows big time.
That's it, honey. Get into the spirit.
Let's blow. Our first blower this week is Morgan, who wrote in and said, "Hello, Adam. Hello, Morgan. Do you ever get sick of experiencing repetitive mechanics across different video games? For example, it seemed like every video game had horse riding several years ago. It's like a single producer went from game to game selling his idea, Sparky Polaski style." Shout out to anyone that got that reference. I did not. But I don't get any references. Yeah, horse riding wasn't a lot of games. That doesn't bother me. The thing that bothers me the most from games these days is probably crafting. Dude, crafting has been put in everything, and when it's really basic, easy, I don't mind it. But when I'm constantly bringing up my menus and looking to be like, what else do I need to make this potion? I'm done. I'm done. If I wanted to fucking cook or make potions or build houses, I would cook or make a potion or build a house to cook and make potions in. That's enough with the crafting. That's enough. Just, do you remember that? It made me think of that Family Guy where Chris Griffin spray paints "That's enough" John Mayer on the wall. That's enough with the crafting, John Mayer. Diddly Schlong. Also, not everything needs to be open world, but mostly crafting. Diddly Schlong said, "When playing Earthbound, do you put stupid fill in the blanks when prompted at the start of the game? I especially like having my mother tell me I should go eat shit." Well, I sure hope nobody walked into the show during that last sentence, or they're like, "What are you listening to?" No, when I was a kid, yes. If you've never played Earthbound, you get to name the 4 main protagonists, your dog, your favorite thing, which becomes like your main offensive spell, and then your favorite food. And when I was a kid, yeah, I'd put in funny names and I'd name all the characters after me and my friends and stuff. But now, honestly, I mostly just leave them. Steak really is my favorite food, or one of, and I think that's like the first prompt, the food. I usually name the dog Molly, but then other than that, yeah, I keep it at Nest Paula, Jeff Pooh, and Rockin'. Call me lame, but I like the game too much now to tweak it. Beat on the Moan said, hello, Mr. Blank. If money was no object, what would be your Mount Rushmore of retro gaming collectibles? This can include consoles, games, peripherals, etc. So I actually thought about this and prepped my answers in advance. Money is no object. I can buy 4 video game items. Number 1 is a mint condition vintage Miss Pac-Man cab. Everyone knew that would be there. Number 2 would be one of the rare Nintendo PlayStation prototypes, because I just think that's like the coolest piece of gaming history ever. Number 3 would be a complete in-box mint condition with all the stinky smell cards and Player's Guide Earthbound. And number 4 would be one of the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pinball machines. I'm not even a big pinball guy, but that Ninja Turtles machine looks fucking dope. So that's going to be my 4. I thought long and hard about that. I think that's going to be my 4. I stayed up all night thinking about it, actually. Chris Pinchin said, someone tells you they've never played a video game before. The first thought you have for the best first game to introduce that person to gaming is Tetris. That'll always be my answer to that. I don't think, I do think Tetris is maybe the greatest video game ever made, but I also think doesn't matter how many video games you've played, everyone can at least figure out the concept of Tetris like that. So I honestly think, if you think Tetris is a lame answer, then I'm going to go with Super Mario World. But otherwise, Tetris, because I think anyone could pick it up and learn it. Growlywog said, hey, yo, in the wee early episodes of Remember the Game, you encouraged people to contact you if they wanted to be on the show. Obviously, you've outgrown us peons now. I didn't say that. Growlywog said that. I haven't outgrown all of you peons. And you have a pretty regular cast of supporting gamers, but do you still ever get people bugging you to be on the show? Yes, all the time. If you're newer to the show, in the early days, I used to say, if you want to come on the show, message me. And that was because I didn't think anyone would ever listen to the show. And so I was just looking to make sure I had enough guests to keep doing the show. I do still get a lot of messages asking to come on the show. I can't accommodate all of them, but I'm grateful for the interest. So thank you so much, everybody. I will say, if you are going to write about coming on the show, please don't write in and tell me what's wrong with the show and then tell me that you can fix it. I get those messages more than I'd care to admit, and they actually, they don't offend me. I just kind of roll my eyes. Like, it's just, if you want to write in and be like, hey, I love the show and I'd love to be on the show, I'll be honest, I'm not looking for guests, but I'm flattered that you're interested. But if you write in, you're like, hey, I love the show, but you do X, Y, and Z, and I don't like it very much, and if you'd like to fix it, bring me on, and I'll clean it up for you. You're literally never getting on my show. I just think that's such a cunty thing to do. No. Fill up my mouth with farts said, hello, Adam, my good man. I know you have said you prefer digital over physical games, but when physical was the only option, did you prefer the cartridges or CDs for your games? Cartridges, all day. The only thing I preferred about discs was better music, like for wrestling games, and I liked that they came in like cool cases that I could keep, like my PS2, PS1 cases and shit, compared to just Nintendo 64 cartridges were an abomination with no labels on top. I know you could print them now, but that was a pain in the ass back in the day. But for the most part, I prefer cartridges. They're so much more durable. I think they look cool on a shelf. Like, I think my NES games look awesome on a shelf. I'm a cartridge guy. Daniel Cook said, Roy, I have an issue with play, remake, and erase, yeah? I've heard multiple times people decide to erase a game because they've played it so much that they know it back to front. However, if you erase it, is the game now deleted from history? Therefore, the game never existed and the listeners never played their favorite games? I would like to address this because this gets asked of me sometimes. We have never set an official canon ruling as to what happens to a game when it's erased. So you can say it wipes it from your memory banks. You can say it like, if you erase Super Mario Brothers, platformers don't exist. You can say it's just like no one can ever play it again, but I can remember it. There is no, you're rolling the dice, because these are all hypothetical for now until I've got more power. So this is all just hypothetical. And then when the day actually comes where Play 1, Remake 1, Erase 1 becomes real, you're going to find out what the fuck happens when you erase games. But for now, you're just gambling on what you think is going to happen. Just to clarify the rules. All right? And finally, before we move on, it's letter time. Red Hood Todd said, Mr. Blank, come away from the lemon tree. I have a ridiculous question to ask. You are granted infinite money, and you can buy or lead a hostile takeover of any company, gaming related or not. If possible, shortly explain what company becomes yours and why. Cheers and beers from Michigan. Now I gotta. Okay, so if I'm buying the company, but I need to see a return on my investment, and I'm like, I can't have the company go under, then I'm buying Nintendo, because that would be like the cool, or I'm buying like a sports team like the Montreal Canadiens, because that'd be awesome, or the Denver Broncos. Oh, the Denver Broncos. But no, the Tampa Bay Rays would be sick, because I could get them for like pennies on the dollar. No, okay. If we're sticking to video games, if I need to see a return on my investment, I'm saying Nintendo. Because as a Nintendo fanboy, it'd be awesome to own them. And then I could finally release Mother 3, and I could bring back F-Zero and Punch-Out and all those other franchises and stuff. And it would be so much fun to be calling the shots at Nintendo. That would be a Nintendo fanboy's wet dream. So if I need to, and I think I'd be profitable, because Nintendo is prints money. So if I need to see a return on my investment, I'm going Nintendo. If, as you said, I have infinite money though, and I can roll the dice, and if the company I buy goes under, then I need to prop it up with my infinite money, so be it. Then I'm actually going to go Sega, and I'm going to bring them back into the console market. And that comes from a Nintendo fanboy. I would release the Dreamcast 2 after releasing like a mini Dreamcast, be a whole bunch of our old games on there. I would go both. I would release like a powerhouse console to compete with the Xbox and PlayStation. And I'd also release a handheld that competes with the Steamer and the Switch, because I've got infinite money. And I would bring them back from the dead and revive a whole bunch of their franchises. And I'd make a game where you kill Echo the Dolphin. And it would be I would make a Smash Brothers game for Sega. And then I would make Echo the worst character, so everybody else kills Echo the Dolphin. Yes. So yeah, if I can roll the dice on profitability, Sega. If it needs to be profitable, Nintendo. And if we're talking outside of video games, then I'm going to buy the Devil Rays, the Tampa Bay Rays. I guess they're not the Devil Rays anymore. I don't know why I said that. But I'm going to buy the Tampa Bay Rays, because if I have infinite money, now suddenly they have payrolls to compete with the big teams. And then they go on to win all the championships. It'd be awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody that wrote into the show. As always, we need to keep this ball moving. So let's switch things up and get into our Smash Hit segment, the official game show of Remember the Game Industries. Play one, remake one, erase one. And a huge thank you to Classic Concentration from the NES for unknowingly providing us with the theme music for the show. The rules are simple. Every week I give our Patreons 3 retro video games. They can play one as it was released, remake one as a modern game, and the third is erased from time forever. And as always, there are no wrong answers. There is a right one. I'll tell you what it was in a minute. This week, oh my God, I didn't finish the copying over. This week, since we're talking a Sega Genesis platforming-esque game, I'm kind of making that up. I didn't put it in my notes. It still says we're talking partners in time. I suck at this. Anyway, it says we're talking like a run-and-gun platforming game on the Genesis. I went with 3 Genesis platformers I'm very interested in: Dynamite Headdy, Quackshot, and Rocket Knight Adventures. And this one was very, very close, which I love. But the winner was 27% of you saying you'd play Quackshot, remake Rocket Knight Adventures, and erase Dynamite Headdy. I'll tell you right now, that's the wrong answer. But let's see what a few of you had to say here. Then I'll tell you what the right answer was. Michael Patrick said play Rocket Knight Adventures because it deserves to stay in its 16-bit glory. This is a Genesis gem. Remake Dynamite Headdy because it would be great as a modern 2D platformer, or maybe even in a 3D space. And then erase Quackshot. Donald Duck is probably my favorite character of all time, but this game is so goddamn slow. It's like Donald Duck is 90 years old. He's so slow. See, that fascinates me because numerous hot dogs have been on me to play Quackshot. And I haven't heard many people criticize it like that. So that's duly noted, Michael Patrick. Duly noted. Joey Jojo is the worst name I ever heard. Said, well, that's half of the worst name I ever heard. Said, play Rocket Knight because it has a great reputation and I haven't played it yet. Remake Quackshot based on my love of DuckTales for the NES. I've never played Quackshot, but maybe a remake would be awesome. And then erase Dynamite Headdy. I played it on the Genesis and it was okay, but not great. And we don't need any more mascot characters from the SNES/Genesis era. I can't bring myself to erase Dynamite Headdy. I really want to play that game. But I do agree that we don't need any more mascots from that era. Everyone was trying to come up with the next Sonic and Mario, and the only one that succeeded was Bubsy. So I agree, that's tough. Mario Kart Tour is the superior Mario Kart. You're on double secret probation just for that. Fuck me. Says play Quackshot because for the love of God, Adam, we need that review. Remake Dynamite Headdy because it looks like it would be a pretty good Switch port. And then erase Rocket Knight because it just looks like some off-brand knockoff Mega Man. Seriously though, play Quackshot before we rise up and plunge your head after eating hot peppers. While your username just bought 6 more months of waiting before I even consider doing a Quackshot episode. That's what you get for saying Mario Kart Tour is superior to fucking Mario Kart 8. Yeah, you expect me to listen to your takes on Quackshot when you think, oh God, choking on my own rage here. High Scores, High Stakes podcast said, play Rocket Knight. It's still amazing. Remake Dynamite Heady. It's still amazing, but imagine how it would look with modern graphics. Wow. And then Erase Quackshot. Donald Duck is a poor man's Daffy Duck. He sucks. See ya. I actually kind of like Donald Duck's probably my favorite Disney character, but Daffy Duck is my favorite Looney Tune, other than Elmer Fudd, who is the greatest Looney Tune ever. So, and the Angry New Yorker said, I'll play Rocket Knight because it's the only one I've played and I like it. I'll remake Quackshot because I've never played it, so why the fuck not? And then I'll race Dynamite Heady because he looks like Rayman's less successful cousin who dropped out of school and now sells homemade bombs on the black market. You are an Angry New Yorker. I don't think Dynamite Heady looks that bad. He's no Rayman, but I don't think he looks that bad. In fact, I'm going to play it. I'm going with 15% of you. How 15% of you voted this week, including Rose636, who said, I've never played any of these, so I'm going to go off the box art. Remake Rocket Knight Adventures because I want a 4K rendering of that mouse as it looks hilarious. Play Dynamite as that one looks like one of those zany 90s games that could have only been born out of the amount of sugar we used to eat back then. And then Erase for that, and for that matter, cancel Quackshot because he's walking around without any clothes on his bottom half. Won't somebody please think of the children? He is kind of a perv. I'll agree with that. Way different reasoning, same order. I'm going to play Dynamite Heady because it is from the folks that made Gunstar Heroes, which is, as you probably heard on the Genesis episode last week, one of my all-time favorite Genesis games, and it looks awesome. And then I'm going to remake Rocket Knight Adventures. I really don't know what I'd do with it. I really just wanted to play it and Dynamite Heady, so I don't know. I'll put it on the SNES because apparently they were talking about doing that at one point. And then I'm going to erase Quackshot. I'm interested in playing it, especially after hearing about the love. But if I have to erase one, I'm erasing a Disney game. And Mario Kart Tour just bought it 6 months of double secret probation in the hole. So there you go. Thank you, everybody, for playing along. As always, what have I been playing over the last week? A lot of Vectorman to get ready for this episode, which you're going to hear my thoughts on shortly. And then, dude, I don't want to reference balls anymore. I am all in on Mass Effect 3. Playing it on my Steamer. The first time I've played it since it came out and I played through it to get ready for an episode hopefully next month. I implore you folks, if you've not played the Mass Effect games, arguably one of the, well, not arguable, for my money, it's undisputably one of the greatest video game trilogies in the history of video game trilogies. It's so good. I'm so enjoying my playthrough of Mass Effect 3 right now. My God, has it been fun. Fuck me. Anyway, that's it, okay? Here's what's going to happen. I need a drink of water. This is my first of 3 podcasts today. I got to keep the old vocal cords nice and lubed up. So I'm going to do that while you listen to a sponsor, and then when we get back, it's all Vectorman, okay? We'll be right back after this. We've had some great partners over the years here at Remember the Game, but I don't know if any of them have hit home for me quite like Hometown Hero does. No pun intended. Don't start. It's a transparent, honest cannabis company that helps people and gives back to those that have served their country at the same time. I mean, come on. As soon as I read about these guys, I knew I wanted to work with them. Hometown Hero is a cannabis company out of Austin, Texas, and they were founded back in 2015 by a U.S. veteran. They have 2 goals: create premium hemp products that can help everyone, and to support veterans by donating a portion of those profits to organizations set up to take care of those who have served. Hometown Hero products are of the highest quality, and everything they offer is made right there in the U.S. of A. Gummies, caramels, chocolates, drink mix. There's something for everyone. And what's more, their hemp is grown locally in Texas, which is something they should and do take a lot of pride in. And they offer certificates of analysis for everything they sell because they want to be clear that their products are as advertised, both in terms of potency and ingredients. No contaminants, you get what you pay for. Just how they conduct business is enough to get my good eyes' attention, but when you circle back to the fact that the company was founded by a veteran and they put such heavy emphasis on supporting veterans, this isn't just lip service. I'm not reading a script I was given here. I'm proud to have Hometown Hero associated with Remember the Game. Reclaim your evening. Visit hometownhero.com and use code RTG to take 20% off your first purchase. That's hometownhero.com, code RTG for 20% off your first purchase. This is an ad by BetterHelp. A band once said, "Work sucks, I know." And I think most people agree with them. Workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress from their jobs. And while walking away from your job might not be an option, taking a little time every day to focus on yourself and your mental health can make a huge difference. I know in the summer I try to get outside every day, get a little bit of sun, and just enjoy the outdoors. It really helps. at least until my allergies attack, and then it's ugly. It's important to take steps to combat work stress, and therapy can be a huge one. It's not just for overcoming trauma. Therapy can help you define work goals, set some work boundaries, develop coping skills. It's like a cheat code for life. And if you're thinking, man, I'm too busy for therapy, well, look into BetterHelp. They make therapy as convenient as possible. You can meet with one of their over 30,000 therapists online and on your schedule, just like over 5 million people around the world already have done. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/rememberthegame. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. All right, let's talk some Vectorman. As always, I'd like to let you nerds sound off in the comments before my guest and I hog the microphone and do the whole glory hog thing. So let's see what a few of you had to say about Vectorman. Not to be confused with Joey Jojo from Play 1 Remake 1 Erase 1. The full Joey Jojo Jr. Shabadoo, which is the full worst name I ever heard, said, I tried to like Vectorman when it tagged along some of the Sonic pack for PS2, but it never clicked with me. It lacked something. We'll call it heart. Shout out to him that gets that reference. That comment just made me chuckle. So well done, my friend. Ched Hartha said, I owned this game and remember liking it a lot. Not sure if it's held up, to be honest, but I do remember being blown away by the music, the graphics, the transformations, and the gun variety. One thing I remember is that when falling, you could slow your descent by shooting downward. A very cool physics mechanic that I've seen since. Not sure if Vectorman did it first. I like that you can shoot down to slow yourself down as well. Drives me crazy that the camera is so zoomed in that you can't see the enemies below and above you. But you'll hear my thoughts on that in a second. Oh, fuck, that makes me crazy. Mark Hayward said, I loved this game as a kid, but man, did it beat the shit out of me at 7 or 8 years old. Having played it again as an adult, I love it even more. Vectorman was the OG Wally, but he had a gun. Blowing up the Sega logo in the beginning was a true spark of genius. A Genesis classic, as frustrating as it can be. I've even considered a tattoo of the green bastard. You can have a lot of fun with a tattoo of this. I agree with just about every word of that. Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to that. I've never seen Wally. So I don't know if he's got the heart that Wally apparently does, but all right, sure. Agent Booty Pants said, I absolutely love playing this game at my buddy's house. I think there was a competition for the first people to beat it. Send in a photo of you in the windscreen and win a prize or something. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I swear someone either told me that or I read it somewhere. I saw it on the box art. You can win 25,000. So I looked it up, and apparently what it was there was like random copies. So when you bought a copy of Vectorman, some of them randomly were the ones where you could win the prize. And so when you beat the game, it gave you like a password or something, and then you had to call in or something with the password. And the first one to do it got 25K, and then second through 10 got like 10K or something, which like kind of feels like they're like, please buy our game, we'll give you money. But it's kind of clever. I like it. And the big deal said, I first discovered this gem thanks to the greatness that was the Sega channel. The Genesis was known for churning out fun and inventive platformers, and this game was no exception. Also, can we shout out how good looking it was for a 16-bit game? Imagine what a Vectorman 3 on the Saturn would have been. I will say a third game with better tech would have been pretty sick. And a few of you wrote in calling this game out on the Sega channel. Respect to the Sega channel. So before its time. What a cool idea. Anyways, let's talk about Vectorman. I quite like this game. Couple minor nitpicks, but I quite like this game, as does my friend Andre. I'm going to cue up some music. And when it stops, Andre and I are talking Vectorman, which originally released on the Sega Genesis in North America on October 24th of 1995. Holy fuck, we're old. Enjoy the podcast, everybody. Let's go. All right, this is take two. Admittedly, we only got a minute into the first one, and I had such a bad intro for Andre that it wasn't that Andre sucked. It was my I dropped the ball on my segue, which is a good way to say it because we're playing with a guy made out of balls this week. Andre is my guest. He has balls. We're talking Vectorman, made of balls. Andre, how are you and your balls? How's life?
Oh, my balls are great, but I'm doing pretty good, man. Life's been good. I've been pretty busy lately with work and all my projects. Finally taking a week off this week from my other projects. So
nice.
Yeah.
You're gonna watch. We won't get too off course, but are you gonna watch some AEW tomorrow?
Oh yes, I am. I am. It's the last day of me doing my other projects. I am doing a pre-show at starting at 7:30 a.m. because
Oh,
that's, and
Jesus.
then I'm doing a post-show for a separate channel after the show.
I hope all you geeks in the city of Great Britain appreciate that if you have your wrestling, we have to watch it at like 11 a.m. And I don't want to hear it like, "Oi, we've been watching wrestling at 3 in the morning for not 42 years," or whatever the fuck it is going on over there. It's horseshit when our wrestling's over there. Anyway, if you don't know, we're recording this Saturday night. I've been packing all day. I'm fucking tired. I already fucked this up once. Let's get through this. Vectorman is a good game. It deserves a good episode. This is one of the games, and I'm very rare. This is one of the only Sega Genesis games I played growing up. I played Sonic 2 and Echo the Dolphin at the dentist, which we've covered. Everyone knows where I am on those. And then Vectorman, when I moved to Cold Lake, I met a dude named Adam. I'm always drawn to other people named Adam. Trivia note, I used to play street hockey with two other Adams, Adam Atkinson and Adam Wilson. And we all used to be on a line together, and we call ourselves the AAA line, but we weren't very good. It was good times. But anyways, Adam Atkinson had a Sega Genesis, and I traded to my Super Nintendo for a while to play his Genesis. And all he only gave me was Sonic 2 and this Vectorman. And I haven't played this since I was a little kid. I remember really liking it back then, and I remember for the last like 25, 30 years thinking this was one of the games that I was a little bit jealous of as a Super Nintendo kid. I was like, this would have looked good on the Genesis, or on the Super Nintendo, excuse me. And now replaying it over the last week or two, it's substantially harder than I remember. But B, it's still really, it's good. It's not, I don't think it's as good as like Gunstar Heroes if you're talking like a run and gun, but I don't know. This is a good game. Where did you seem to be knowledgeable when it comes to Sega. Did you play this growing up? Did you have a Sega?
Yeah, this is one of those regular rentals for me. Like it's never one I owned, but it's one that I rented. It would be rented multiple times, and I can't even recall if I ever beat this game. I'm a very soft gamer now. I'll say that. But when in my Genesis days, I was not like a super hardcore gamer at that point, right? Like it wasn't until the PlayStation where I really like zoned in and like learned to get good and stuff, like for the parlance. But I really enjoyed playing it. I was very because I was like under 10 years old when I had my Genesis, so I was very like just play it and have fun. And this is one of the ones where you're just running around shooting, and it almost looked like a game that wasn't finished, but it was because it is clean. It's finished clean, but it's just the guy is still in pieces. It looks like they drew the circles to make a character, but then went, we'll go with that.
yeah. If you've never played Vectorman, like it's a basic. I want to call it like a running gun, like a Contra, but because you're basically just running around and shooting. But there's also a lot of platforming, and you're jumping around in areas. The levels play kind of like Earthworm Jim, or Sonic, frankly. Like they're kind of big. They're a little open. For the most part, you're going left to right, but you can kind of go up and down and explore to a certain extent and stuff like that. And there's only really two controls: jump or mashing the shoot button. And Vectorman is this robot made out of orbs. Yeah. And as far as I know, because there's a little story prologue that pops up every time you fire it up, as far as I can tell, humans basically ruined the planet, and now we're living somewhere else, and we sent these poor robots back to clean up our mess. And one of the robots went bad, and now Vectorman is trying to stop him.
Yeah, and the bad robot got a hold of a nuke and absorbed it into himself, I think, is the way I understand the story. Right. And he became the supreme overlord because he had a nuke.
And like... It's so funny that, like, when did this game come out? 1995, I think. Yeah, 1995. And here we are in 2024, almost 30 years later. And it's like, the storyline was that, the game takes place in a future where Earth has been largely destroyed by humans through pollution. And I'm like, man, they fucking called their shot. That is, maybe we're going to see what's going to happen here. We're going to have to employ robots made out of balls. So Vectorman comes down.
Vectorman is our future.
Yeah. And I gotta say, like, the number one, you guys all know me, okay? Anyone that's been listening to the show with any regularity, I'm not a graphics guy. Graphics are great, but I don't care. Make it play good, and then if it looks good, that's a bonus. I will say that, frankly, I think this game, and we'll get into it, but I think this game looks a little bit better than it plays, but it looks really, really fucking good. I was reading, it came out the same holiday season as, it was like up against Donkey Kong Country 2. on the SNES, which admittedly, I beg you to explain to me how Donkey Kong Country 2 isn't the better game. But I will say they're both gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
I think the Donkey Kong Country series are among the best looking games on the Super Nintendo. And while I regularly sit here and suck the dick of the way Sega Genesis games look, this is among the best looking games on the Sega Genesis. It is fucking smooth, Andre.
Well,
Like,
it's textured so well, and like a problem I have with a lot of like the old school platformers from the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, and some of the Genesis ones, is the background. It's hard to tell where platforms are and things you can jump on are in the background. For this game, I don't think I had that problem at any point in this game because everything seems the background. You can obviously tell that's the background, and everything's in the foreground that you can jump on, that you can interact with. It's
yeah.
very, very apparent, and that's where I love that visual. It all looks so clean, everything's smooth, everything's where it should be.
Yeah, I agree with that. There was very few instances where I couldn't figure out what I could interact with. And some of the levels, like, I mean, we'll get into the levels in a minute, but Vectorman himself, like for a robot that's made out of these orbs that aren't actually connected to anything, I've never designed a video game, but that seems like a very difficult thing to do and make it seem proper. And it like everything and it's not like he's very stoic. Like is stoic the word? Static? He doesn't like. He's very flexible. Like the dude, the way you run and jump, like obviously holding his hand out, he shoots like Iron Man, like he shoots out of his palm. But
Yeah.
the way you run and jump, and the little blasters come out of his feet, and the way he transforms into thing, and the way he falls and stuff like that, I do think it's a bit of a. And don't get mad, because this is a good thing. I do think it's a little bit of a gimmick to make your protagonist made out of orbs, but I think they pulled it off in like the most perfect. It doesn't take away from the game, and visually it adds to it very much. If anything, I actually would have liked to have seen them gone a little further with the whole making him into balls, and maybe make him like, and maybe Vectorman 2 does this. I haven't played Vectorman 2, but like
Me either.
make him like let him duck where maybe you could turn into like just a row of balls and roll along the ground and stuff. I think it's a gimmick, but I think it's a cool gimmick that I would have liked to have actually seen them explore a little bit more. I just think it like this is again, I said it already, but this is one of those games I look at and I'm like, fuck, I wish this had been a Super Nintendo game. Like
Yeah.
I love the way this game looks, and it plays good. Not great, but good.
Yeah, it's smooth enough, but again, I'll give it the Sega Genesis platformers never truly had tight controlling, in my personal opinion, some do, but
No.
for the most part, more of them had looser controls.
That's a great point.
Than the Super Nintendo counterparts, in my opinion. Outside of like when you got like a Lion King or a Aladdin, they're a little tighter because again, it really is the same for either system except for some reason the jump and the sword. But
no, but that's a really good fucking point. I never thought of that. You're right. Like it's one of the things I bring up is that look, I genuinely love the original Sega Genesis controller, the 3-button, that kind of boomerang shaped. I love that controller. I don't think it's particularly precise. I really struggle with games like Mega Man: The Wily Wars. I find it not quite tight enough for my tastes. But I adore the way that controller feels, and when I'm playing with it, I'm like, this is a game and this is fun. If that makes sense, it feels like more. And this is not a criticism. The Sega Genesis controller feels like more of a toy than the Super Nintendo controller, and I mean that in the best. Like in some ways, I like the Genesis controller better than the Super Nintendo controller. Pardon me. And you're right that I find a lot of Genesis games don't control particularly tight, but there's something about the way Vectorman controls where I think the loose, for lack of a better term, almost slippery controls play in its favor. It feels natural. I think it's because the dude is just made out of a bunch of floating orbs, so he shouldn't feel 100% precise because he's not even fucking connected to himself.
Well, and again, I think part of it is that loose controls also really works well with because you're using that double jump or the rocket jump, whatever you want to call it, to launch yourself up again after you jump. You double jump to fire yourself up again. Mm-hmm. I feel like that loose control almost works to the way he jumps and the way he moves a little better than if you're doing it with like a more precise like Super Nintendo controller.
Agreed. Yeah, Yeah, I agree. I don't know how to explain. Everyone that's played it probably knows what I'm saying. Like, I just don't know how to explain it, but it just the kind of loose controls just feel right with this game. And I don't find them bad. Like, I died quite a bit. This game is fucking hard, and we'll get into the gameplay and shit in a couple of minutes. But I never once felt like I died because the controls sucked. It feels very loose, and it flows. It runs smooth. And to get back to it, you mentioned it earlier. The fucking levels. I will say there are a couple levels that fucking piss me off. Some of the gimmick levels. We can get into that, but a majority of the levels involve Vectorman just running, jumping, and shooting, and like Andre said, dude, they pop. Like, some of them you're outside and you can see the background compared to like the stuff you're supposed to stand on and stuff, and they look great. A couple of them are underwater or in ice caves, which aren't my favorite levels, but there's never any question as to what you can land on. My biggest criticism of this game, quite frankly, is those types of levels. That fucking ice cave level where you need to, or no, I think it's an ice cave.
Well, you
but
go underwater. And
Yeah.
then you end the level kind of without fighting a boss, and then you start the next level underwater, and you're climbing all the way up until you get to the top, because you end up getting turned into a rocket, getting launched up into the up top, and that's when you get into the ice level, and then you end up fighting the ice bosses.
That's right. And that's the level that I think it bothers me the most. But almost every level in this game, if I have one criticism of this game, I wish and I've said it all the times I've been streaming it and stuff, I wish the camera was pulled out like 20%, because the enemies look great, Vectorman looks great, but everything is so big, like the camera is so tight in on Vectorman that there are times where it feels like enemies are shooting you before you can see them. That level where you're climbing underwater in that fucking cave, there's like bombs and shit above you, and you literally don't see them until you jump up and hit them. And boy, that burned my ass. Like, just, if it had been pulled out 20%, and so I could just see the enemies a little bit more. I hate when I can't see the enemies that are coming. And Vectorman, when you're just playing the game, I would argue Vectorman takes up like 15% of the screen. And I think part of it is to like show off how cool he looks, and it works. But it leaves very little time. Like, enemies are, as soon as you see an enemy, they're usually on top of you. And I found that frustrating. I don't know if that's just me. Maybe I just suck, but I found that infuriating at times.
No, again, the way they tightened in the camera angle, you're right. You do have part around you, but if you really think of where you're on the platform, running along the platform, he's right in the center, but he's pulled in so much that he's taking up probably a good quarter of the screen from left to right, almost like your character. So there's not a lot, and then people just appear in front of you or appear above you. I'd agree with that, but it's just, I think it builds tension in the game a little bit too, because you're not sure what's coming next, and that really does help to provide a tension in the game, because like, what am I jumping up to? What am I jumping up to? What am I jumping up to? Right? Like, it helps in that sense, though.
I mean, you're right. It definitely makes it tense, especially when you're down to like one hit, dude. Because this isn't even a complaint. This is just an observation. One of the things about this game, your health doesn't replenish between levels. So if you beat a boss with one hit left, you go to the next level starting with one energy ball of health. Yeah. And that is when you're down to like one or two energy balls. This is one of those games, no continues. When you die, it's game over. Start from the beginning. It's not a particularly long game, but it is hard. And especially, say you're on like level 8+, like you're over halfway through the game, and you've only got one or two lives left, and then you beat a boss, and then you go to the next level, and you only have one hit left. I don't know how you play, but I fucking crawl through that game just mashing shoot, because I'm like, something is going to jump out and fucking kill me. I fucking know it. And I can't see them until they kill me. And I'll agree with you, it adds to the tension, but it also fucking pisses me off when some enemy shoots me, or I jump and I hit a bomb above my head and I didn't even know the fucking bomb was there. Fuck. So but you bring up a good point. The tension, it's a yin yang, and it is my biggest complaint. It's not enough to take like points off for it, but it is my biggest criticism of the game, is just how tight it is. I wish you could see just a little bit better. You can still make it tense. Just let me see a fucking enemy so I can react when it starts shooting at me. That's all.
Like the best comparison, personally, like playing this game I can make, is it feels like a looser version of Mega Man in a way. Because again, it's a dude with the blaster, but but because it's so tight in, it doesn't feel like Mega Man is so small on the screen in his games, at least in the I'll talk say original 6. He's
Sure.
there's a lot more screen around him where Vectorman doesn't have that, and that does affect how you really look at the world around him and how
Agreed.
you feel with that character.
Yeah, agreed. And to be fair, like Mega Man 7 on the Super Nintendo, a common complaint about which is 16-bit like Vectorman, a common complaint is that Mega Man is too big and takes up too much of the screen. I feel like there's something about 8-bit games where they were like, it's not about how the sprite looks, it's about how it plays. And then when they got these 16-bit machines, they're like, well, I got to make them look good. And it sometimes to a slight amount of detriment to the game itself. But again, not shitting. I mean, I am shitting a little bit on it. It's farting on it. I'm not shitting on it. I'm farting on it. It's not bad. I wish it was just spread out just a little bit more. But to your point though, I keep circling back to this. You had talked about how easy it was to tell what you can land on and stuff. Some of the levels, dude, I have not beaten this game. I've gotten to level. I think I paused my stream the other night on level 13, and I haven't gone back yet. But there's one level. A lot of them look really nice, and there's one in particular where you're running around like at night and you're outside and lightning is going off, and it looks kind of boring until the lightning starts going off, and then you're like, "This is sexy." Again, not to double back to it, but like I don't know what I consider to be the best looking game on the Sega Genesis. Probably Sonic 3. But Vectorman is in the conversation. Like, this is a really sexy looking fucking game, buddy. It is
I would say Sonic Spinball, but I know you hate that game. But
just so I don't start getting angry emails, I don't hate Sonic Spinball. I can't beat level 1. I've tried. My friend Kate has wanted to cover that game on the show for years. I've tried so many times. I cannot beat level 1. So I don't hate it. I'm just really bad at it. But sure, Sonic Spinball is a good looking game. Vectorman's up there though. Vectorman, one of the best looking games on the Genesis. And even like the fact that the dude is made out of balls and it doesn't look blocky and crappy. Like it looks smooth. Like it looks sharp. And the backgrounds and everything, it's really crisp looking game. And some of the bosses, dude, you mentioned that level where you climb up that fucking ice cave, the boss where it's like a pelican made out of balls or orbs. And then once you kill it, then it turns into like a polar bear.
I think it's like ice blocks or ice rocks or something.
Yeah. It looks fucking tight though.
But they are. At least that's what I think they are. Yeah.
It looks fucking tight. Whereas some of those other okay, here's what we're gonna do. Let's let a sponsor in now. And then when we get back, I want to get into the difficulty of this game and some of the because like listen, I'm not gonna bullshit you all. This is not going to be the longest game review we've ever done. There's like Andre were talking about it off air. There's not a ton of meat on the bone with Vectorman, but I think most people think of how it looks and how it plays. So we've talked about how it looks. Let's take a break, and then when we get back, we'll look into how it plays, the difficulty, all that stuff. We'll be back in, 60 seconds or however long it takes me to read whatever ad I'm reading shortly. We'll be right back. All right. Buddy, when I first started playing this, I played it on easy, which is not, I don't remember what they called the difficulties. I should have wrote them down. It wasn't called easy. It was something like insane. I don't remember. It was like, they used like the cool, like classic fucking 90s marketing. They use like the cool words, but I played it on easy and I was literally like cakewalking through it. And I was like, I don't remember this being this easy. Then I turned it up to normal on one of my streams, and then it started sticking.
I looked it up. So lame, wicked, and insane.
Lame, wicked, and insane. Classic 90s.
Yep.
I have not played it on insane, and when I put it on wicked, which is normal, I was streaming it, and I was getting wrecked at first. And then it kind of started to click with me, and then I went on a run where, again, I got to, I think, level 14. And then I ran out of time and stopped playing. But this is not an easy... Now, at first it's not easy. Once you memorize where a lot of enemies are and stuff, then it becomes not easy, but easier.
I was watching you on stream the other day, just dying over and over and over against that goddamn plane. But that plane swooped in such a stupid way that he is arguably in the later ones, he's actually one of the harder he's one of the harder bosses early in that game, because the ice bosses aren't really that hard as long as you start from the right point. All you gotta do is follow him and shoot, and then just get down and shoot, just duck and just continue shooting when he turns into the polar bear, whatever the hell he is.
Yeah,
there's not And a lot of the bosses are like that. Just that stupid. Why is it stupid playing the first boss?
But you know what though? Once I finally figured out the pattern to the first boss, like it barely touches me. But it
Oh yeah.
pounded me until I figured it out. And that's where the difficulty is tricky, because when you don't know what's coming, when you haven't practiced it, like I promise all of you, anyone listening to this has never played Vectorman, the first time you fire it up, if you play it on normal, you're gonna get your ass kicked.
Oh, 100%.
But then, like, if anyone was watching my stream, I streamed for like 2.5 hours, and I went from dying on the first level over and over again to getting to like level 10 quickly. Like, it's so weird. It fucks you up at first, and then you kind of figure it out, and then suddenly it gets a lot easier. One of the things about it, like I mentioned earlier, no continues. You do have lives, and I implore you, all you really do is jump and shoot your hand. And for collectibles, there's like TVs everywhere, and then which is I don't know why there's broken TVs hanging everywhere, but I as like an 80s kid, I got a trip out of seeing all these TVs with those like multicolored bars that used to show up when a TV station would go off. For our young listeners, there was a time where TV stations would go off the air for the night.
Yeah.
And then you would just see these multicolored bars.
Ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't 24 hours like it is now.
Right? So weird.
I remember, like, there'd be times where I'd fall asleep watching a show, then wake up in the middle of the night to the with the bars on my screen, and I'm like, I have to turn it off. Yeah.
Fucking weirdest thing. But you blow up these TVs and you collect a few things, and then when you kill enemies, occasionally they drop stuff. But a vast majority of what you're collecting are they're like energy stars. They kind of look like the dandelion fluff. You blow off like a dead dandelion. And you
don't do that. That spreads weeds in people's yards. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that, you fuckers. That's kind of what they look like. And at first I was kind of glossing them over. And then another thing that kind of made the game easier was when I actually started stopping to like pick them up, because at the end of the level they all get tallied up. The TVs you shot, everything gets tallied up, and you get an addition to your score. And the higher your score, you might earn an extra life. And again, there are no continues, but you can pick up extra lives. And I'm telling you, especially when you're learning how to play this, holy fuck, those extra lives come in handy toward the end.
Collect every star you can.
Yes.
Because it will save your ass as you progress through the levels, because you get the bonuses. That more bonuses you get, the better, because you can stack lives very quickly. If you can finish a level with all, like, as many of them collected, you can stack lives so fast. Fast.
And at first I thought they were just like points, because like so many old games that have like scores, and it's like, I don't give a fuck about the score. But then when I realized they were giving me extra lives, I was like, okay, no, I need these. Like this fucking matters. And then other than those, there's only a couple of things. Occasionally you'll find a 1-up. You can pick up energy orbs that'll like refill some of your health. You can pick up these bigger energy orbs that will actually add to your. So when you play it on easy, you start out with a 5 energy bar, like 5 energy orbs. Every time you get hit, you lose one. I think when you play on Wicked, you start out with 4, and then I'm assuming on Insane you start with 3. But occasionally,
I couldn't imagine starting with 3 with the difficulty being that much higher.
God no, fuck no. But then occasionally you'll pick up something that'll add a new energy orb to it altogether, and it's nice for like, this game has continuity out the ass. It's like, oh, you finished last level with 1 health. Well, you started the next level with 1 health. But then it's like, oh, last level you picked up one of those things to give you an extra energy. You literally have that for the rest of the game on every life you use, and it's a lot of the game is difficult, but I feel like some of it is artificial, because if you just take the time to explore, look for some hidden entrances or some hidden areas and stuff like that, and pick up some extra thing, like Andre said, you can stack lives and you can extend your health bar pretty substantially if you take the time to look for stuff.
Yeah, and like you also get it, but the only thing that doesn't continue through is your weapons, because I've played from level to level, and you get that like triple burst or that weird like line one that's like spinning line thing. Weapon. But then the next level you go in and you just got your regular laser back. You're like,
well, what I hate about that,
where did triple burst go?
Yeah, what I hate about that is, so it's got weapons in a sense, kind of like Contra. You can find TVs and stuff you blow up, and then when you blow them up, sometimes they'll drop these like bubbles, and then when you touch them, your weapon goes from just the classic Mega Man-esque pea shooter out of your palm to like, there's the spread gun, there's like a homing rapid fire missile, there's this weird, it's like a laser beam between two balls that spins around as it shoots out.
Yeah.
But you have like a finite amount of energy in it. And so the more you're running, because this game basically teaches you just mash shoot all the time. But then when you pick up one of these weapons, you're mashing shoot. And you almost can't once you pick up a specialty weapon because it's got a finite amount of energy and eventually it'll start blinking and then it's gone. And I will say, like, now that I've played it enough that I've gotten semi good, I suppose I'll hear an argument that it would break the game if you picked up the spread gun and kept it until you died, because you might be able to go the whole game without dying. But you can do that with Contra, and I think that's what makes Contra great. And I will say, minor criticism, I would have preferred it if you pick up a specialty weapon, you have it until you die, as opposed to having limited ammo and then you're just out of it.
Yeah, I hate it when I'm in a game and I only, like, I'll admit, there's a reason I don't like Breath of the Wild, and that's because I can only use a weapon so many goddamn times.
Of course.
And the game lost me. I'm like, nope. And when you have, especially the old games, it's like, and you run out of ammo, but that is gone. You should have, honestly, I can get it taking away the weapon going to the next level. But if I waste my triple shot within the level, there should be a way I can replenish it.
Yeah, I agree. Or just like again, Contra. I don't mean to. I'm going to keep comparing it to Contra because they're kind of similar. Running around, jumping on platforms, and shooting. Contra's like the NES Contras are two of my favorite games of all time. When I pick up the spread gun, I have the spread gun until I die.
Yep.
I kind of wish it was like that in this, but is what it is. And then the other thing, there's two other things you can pick up in this game that are kind of cool. One is you can like transform Vectorman into various things, and like he can turn into like a bomb. And then you literally just roll around on the ground like a bomb for 10 or 15 seconds. But if you hit attack, you'll blow up. You'll turn into like a drill where he literally turns into a giant rotating drill. You can turn into a fish, which underwater can be really fucking handy. But what's cool?
Then in that underwater one, the last one you could turn into a rocket and it shoots you up through the ice.
Which is really cool.
If you get turned into the rocket again in the game. I can't remember.
Yeah, I didn't find another area like that. And that was going back to what I said about half an hour ago. I love the idea that he's made out of these orbs, but I wish that they had almost put more emphasis on that because I think it's really cool. I will say, like, it's kind of neat when you turn into the bomb or the drill. And I didn't realize this at first, but now that I've played it a bit, I've realized that practically every time you turn into the bomb or the drill, it's expecting you to use those to find a secret area somewhere. Either blow up near a wall to open up an extra wall, or use the drill to drill through the ground to fall into a new area of the ground.
Or you're going to a spot where there's multiple bad guys, and it's telling you you're gonna go in there and blow up and kill them all in one shot.
Yes. Yeah. And it's a really, again, like I frankly was. I like this game. I don't want to. It's not a criticism, but I wish that there had been a little bit more emphasis on turning him into cool things. Like the dude is made out of these orbs and can shapeshift on demand. Let us turn into these things more. And again, I've not played Vectorman 2. Maybe he does that, but I thought that was one of the coolest parts of the game, and I wish that there had been a little bit more focus on that because I thought it was a lot of fun. The little bomb in particular, he looks so cool when he turns into this like giant atomic bomb. Or this mini atomic bomb just rolling around on the floor.
That was pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And then one of the other things you can pick up that's really neat are these multipliers. And it's like times 2, times 3, times 5, times 10. And while you're multiplied, when you pick stuff up, you get multiples of it. So like, say you've got 6 health orbs and you're missing 4, so you've only got 2 health left. If you have a times 3 and you pick up a 1 health orb, you get 3 additional health. Like it fills 3 health orbs.
Oh, 100%. And that's so nice. And I'm pretty sure it does also multiply your stars as you pick them up, so you can get like better bonuses at the end. Pretty much everything you touch, it multiplies by your bonus.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea. I don't know if I've played many games where you pick up and the multiplier only lasts for a short amount of time. You pick it up, and then it appears down at the bottom beside your health. And it says like times 5, and it doesn't last very long before it goes away. So like once you start to get really good at the game and you know where stuff is, you can go and get like a multiplier, then go back and pick up. I don't know if it applies to stuff like 1-ups or expanding your health or stuff. I don't know. But I don't know if I was ever good enough to know where those were to go get a multiplier and then go back and get one.
That'd be kind of hard.
Well, they put them like they're very strategically placed, and that's something too. I love the concept that these levels are big and you can explore them and find walls that can be like blown up or floors that can be drilled through so you can find additional bonuses and stuff. I gotta say, dude, I fucking hate that there is a very short timer in this game. It drives me up the fucking wall. I hate that it's in Sonic. I hate that it's in Mario. I hate any game where you expect me to like this game is built around, at least to a limited extent, is built around exploring and looking around these fairly big levels, but then it's also like you have 4 minutes and then I might be able to find a clock somewhere to pick up more time, but I might not. I died many times on my playthroughs just running out of time in a level. I am not a fan of that mechanic at all. Maybe I'm just going too slow, but if you expect me to explore, then give me the motherfucking time to explore. Drives me crazy.
But aren't you the guy that says hold down the run button as you play Mario?
Yes, because you got to run because you're on the fucking timer. Drives me crazy. I just like it's same as Sonic. Like I'm like, dude, these like because it's got levels like Sonic where you could just go from left to right if you want to, or you could go up and you could go down and you could look around. I like looking around. I want to find extra secrets and stuff like that. Like I'm down to do that, but then don't fucking tell me I have 4 minutes. And
that is very annoying.
This is one of those ones that doesn't beep at you to warn you're running out of time. The music doesn't speed up or anything. And so there were 2 or 3 times I was playing it and I was like exploring and looking around and picking up all these items and looking for health upgrades and shit. And then all of a sudden I looked down and I had like 25 seconds left. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sakes. And I had no fucking idea. And lives are at such a fucking premium in this game because Andre's right, you can stack them. But again, it's hard and there's no continues. So once you're down to like 2 or 3 lives, your ass starts to get a little tight because a couple more deaths and it's back to level 1 for you. Fuck you. Fuck.
Yeah,
Fuck.
It's not like this isn't a game that has like a password system, nothing like that. As far as I know.
No, nothing. No passwords, no save files, no anything. Oh, and that's the other thing we got to talk about. Some of these fucking there's a couple of like gimmick levels that I think are great in concept.
Oh, screw them so hard. I hate those. The rail shooter one in
yes. I hate
one
that
where
one.
you're like on your hands and knees and like shooting in front of you. These like things that keep dropping in front of you and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It like level 2, you turn into like a train and you're on these train tracks way up in the air and there's a giant robot hanging from the tracks in front of you and you need to keep shooting his hands and he's switching hands to back up away from you while he's shooting at you. And then there's also these ships that are coming by beside you shooting little pellets of energy at you and you're trying to jump over the little pellets that are shooting at you while also jumping over his hands while also shooting his hands. And maybe I'm just not very good, but I love the premise of that level. I was terrible at that. I found that level so difficult.
Well, and the camera angle doesn't help at all.
It doesn't.
It's sitting at like that like Kubert angle. You know what I mean? Like it's that weird like 2.5D angle.
Yeah. And again,
I hate it so much.
I like the
you
concept.
Can't know exactly where you're jumping at the exact right time. If you jump too early, you land on the hand. You jump too late, you hit the hand. You jump too early, like too late, you're gonna land and get shot by something. It's just like
Yeah, and then those stupid ships are shooting their little energy balls at you, but I can't watch for the energy balls and watch where this guy's hands are. So I'm just kind of mashing jump while I'm hitting shoot, and like I can usually beat it without dying now. But I'm not by any stretch. No, there's no strategy. I'm just mashing shoot as fast as I can because I don't know. And then later, dude, you're on that fucking level where you're on like I don't even know what it is, but it's like a conveyor belt, and you're a little tank, and there's these 2 rock ships that keep plowing the ground and then jumping up in the air and then plowing the ground, and they're trying to squish you. And so you need to get them in front of you because you can only shoot straight ahead. But you also can't let the conveyor belt carry you too far backwards or you'll just fall off the back and die.
I thought he was on his hands and knees. I thought Vectorman was just on his hands and knees there. That's
I don't know. I thought he was like
I didn't know it was a tank. I thought he was on his hands and knees.
that one I hate. Like I get the concept.
So
it's a cool idea. I hate that level. I'm terrible at that fucking level.
Yeah, because I couldn't stand those levels. Like, just the annoyance. Just let me platform.
Yeah, well, like I'm fine with them changing shit up to try to keep stuff fresh, but it drives me crazy in that level in particular that the bosses are right in front of you. So like you can't like I have to go far enough back that to give them space to land in front of me but not land on top of me. But within no time, you're so far backwards that you're about to fall off the back and just die. Like that level just eats my lives, eats them, and I fucking go motherfuck. And I don't know if there are any other levels where you transform. If there are, I haven't gotten to any more of them yet. But fuck
I
that
can't
level.
remember any, but again, it's I'll say I haven't played this game since the '90s. Like I watched a quick video on it.
Sure.
Just to kind
Well, that's what remember the game
I
is.
didn't even watch it. I didn't watch it long. I didn't watch. I just watched like a quick 2-minute video, just kind of giving a couple of highlights of the game. That was it.
Yeah,
just to refresh my brain.
No, it's listen. I like it. I think it's genuinely gorgeous, and it does play pretty. And it plays. Though that's the other thing I wanted to say about the way it plays. I'm trying to figure out how to I was streaming it the other day, and I streamed it for about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20 minutes on one run, and I was having a great time. But I will say, by the end of it, with it only giving you these you don't morph into stuff very often, and then the powered up weapons you get only last for 30 seconds or whatever. When you're mashing shoot, it didn't feel like it's not a game that I want to marathon a lot. It does start to feel kind of repetitive, and it's good, but it felt like the levels all kind of started to feel a little bit the same, and it was just a lot of jumping and shooting the same few enemies. Oh, well, we're speaking of enemies, those fucking mosquito things that fly around they're not even entitled to my ass. They can eat garbage. I hate them.
Yeah,
fuck.
Same within in the water level. There's these floating things through there. You can shoot them pretty decently, but they're still annoying because they can come out of nowhere and just hit you, and you're like,
yeah. Well, and those motherfucking mosquito things, they just keep coming back and circling, and it feels like no matter how many of them I shoot, they just keep fucking coming back. And they drive me bananas.
Them like they're multiplying or something.
Yeah.
It's just
it's like mosquitoes are shit enough in real life. I don't want them in my fucking video games.
Yeah,
Fuck
dude.
me.
No.
But I'm trying to think. I really there's no other game modes. It's not multiplayer. It's one player. No save files. No passwords. No continues. Hit start. Try to beat the game, and then when you die, pick it up and go again.
Yep.
Looks great. Plays well. I really do think the way it plays feels right with that Genesis controller. I think if you were to play that with a Super Nintendo controller, and I rarely say this, I don't think it would quite feel right. It almost needs that looseness of the Genesis controller.
It does.
I
played it. I think I played it years ago. I bought a PlayStation 3. Yeah, it was having that. Yeah, I think it was on a Genesis collection I had back on PS3. I played it a little bit, but I didn't get really into it. The last time I played this seriously was the 90s, and I remember playing with the PlayStation controller. I was like, this doesn't feel right, and I put it down.
Yeah, it plays right with a Genesis controller. It looks gorgeous, runs well. It is tough, but I like tough but fair video game. And I will say, outside of the fact that I can't always see the enemies that are coming, I think it's pretty fair. I don't think it's super cheap. I think it's pretty fair. I had a great time with it. I'd like to go back. Honestly, I'd like to do an Adam Sucks at Video Games of it once I get good enough to beat it. Which I don't know if that day will ever come, but if it does. And frankly, now that I have a Genesis and I'm slowly picking up physical games for my Genesis collection, it didn't make my top 10. If you haven't gone back and listened to it from last week, my top 10 Genesis games, it didn't make my top 10, but it is one that I think I'd like to own a physical copy of for my collection. It's one I can see myself firing up once every couple of years and just admiring it. I'm in awe of how good it looks. It might honestly be my pick for my new favorite looking Genesis game.
I was going to say, does it make you want to see what the sequel is?
Yeah, very much. And for all of you that are wondering, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when we do a Vectorman 2 review. Because it
won't be me, because I've never played it.
I'm looking at it right now. It looks pretty similar. The gameplay is similar to the first Vectorman game, but I will try it because I quite enjoyed the first one. So I will do the second one. I got nothing, buddy. I think it's one of the shorter. That's 40 minutes. I don't know what else to say. I feel like we've covered it. Is there anything else? Are we good?
No, I don't really got much else. Again, the bad guys look cool. They have some really cool. There's a few different variations to them, but a lot of them repeat throughout this game. Like,
Yeah, they do. A
yeah,
lot of like
bad guys
sprite
you see in the
swaps and
first.
stuff.
There's bad guys you see in the first level that it's maybe a different color version of it in a later
Yeah.
level. So it's like, okay,
Yeah, not
okay.
a huge deal, but it's there.
No, but yeah.
Um, Tough but fair. All right, let's score this thing. Fuck. What year is this? Oh, it doesn't say what year humans
95.
have destroyed Earth.
Oh, I thought I'd say 95 came out, but no.
Yeah, no, I wanted to do it in the year where we destroyed Earth, but we haven't. So it does have 16 levels, so let's do 16. Let's do that.
Sounds good.
So out of 16 levels, Andre, you're the guest. How many levels would you give Vectorman?
It's a good time. I'll give it 11 out of 16. It's a good time.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna like I want to give it a 13. Feel like I'm going a little high on that. So I'll give it a but like so 12 out of 16 will be 75%. Yeah. I'll give it a 12. It'd be like a 7, 8 out of 10. It's good. I'll tell you right now, like if someone was like, man, I just woke up from a coma. I didn't know Sega had made a console. What do I need to play on the Sega Genesis? I'm definitely going to recommend the Sonics, the Gunstar Heroes, the Streets of Rages. Vectorman is not going to be one of the first games I suggest, but I'm like, once you've played all of the absolute gems, then you should fire up some Vectorman. It's a good game.
Yep.
So
I agree with that.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Well, that'll do it for Vectorman. Andre, if the world wants to hear you talk about stuff that isn't men made out of balls, where my last balls joke, these are hacky. As a comedian, I should be ashamed of myself that I've leaned into the balls gimmick for too long. Andre, what are you doing these days? Where can people find your shenanigans?
I podcast about wrestling and Marvel. So you can find me talking Marvel over on our local establishment. We're taking a bit of a break until September 18th when Agatha All Along premieres on Disney+. We'll be back talking. We do that on our local establishment on YouTube and Twitch. Myself and my partner Melball, we have our show where we cover New Japan Pro Wrestling, we cover Stardom, and we cover Mari Gold on our channel, Andre and Melball Wrestling Talk. You can check us out in video form. We also have a show called Chop Talk where we actually review all the independent wrestling that we go to. And I have an interview up there with local wrestler Kamikaze that I just dropped a couple weeks back. And now all of our audio for all of those shows that we put out on Andre Miller Talk are going to be going out in podcast form on our new partner station, A Plus Productions. That is EHPLUS Productions.com.
What kind of loser does multiple podcasts? What a fucking... I'm just kidding. It's kind of it's literally all I'm exhausted right now. It's 5 p.m. Saturday night. Shaylee and I have been packing since like 8:30 this morning. I'm fucking exhausted. But I was like, I'd have to do 5 podcasts a week. So literally every day of my life, I podcast. I've grown to like the smell of my own breath because it's on the pop filter, this fucking microphone. And I'm sitting here so much. You guys can find links to Andre's stuff in the description of this podcast, presuming he sends them to me. Andre, good talking to you. Much, much, much better Sega Genesis game than Echo the Dolphin, which was probably the episode you're best known for. Exponentially better. This was fun. I recommend playing it. And in case, because I know some people are going to ask, it is not on this Nintendo Switch Online Sega Genesis catalog. It is on the Sega Genesis Classic, and it is in the Sega Genesis Classic collection that you can buy on everything, which is where I played it. And it has save states. But it is not included with the Super Nintendo or the Sega Genesis Online collection. So, which seems odd. It feels like eventually it's going to get added there. It seems odd.
Will. And I think it's one of those games that they've kind of held off.
Yeah, it seems very peculiar, but
yeah.
Word of the day. Andre, good talking to you, buddy. Thanks so much. And, it'll be long over by the time anyone actually hears this. It has not yet happened when we're recording this. I hope you enjoy AEW All In tomorrow.
I definitely will have.
That is going to do it for this week's episode. Andre, thank you so much for giving me a call and talking balls with the Vectorman episode. I've been really looking forward to covering this game for some time. Glad we finally did it. It was a really good game. So, Andre, thank you for doing that. You guys can find all of Andre's wares in the description of this podcast, assuming you remember to send them to me. And, of course, loyal listener, thank you so much for rolling the dice on Remember the Game, whether this was your first, your 308th, or some other random number. Really, really appreciate you taking a chance on us. Subscribe to the show if you liked it. We'll give you more because there's a new one of these lots of the time. I was going to say every Wednesday, but I'm actually taking next Wednesday off. But lots of the time, there is new episodes of this. And again, patreon.com/rememberthegame. $3 a month gets you started. Well over 600 bonus podcasts, ad-free, new ones every week. And there's a dozen episodes waiting for you for free at patreon.com/rememberthegame right now. You can just check them out, see what all the hubbub is about. It's good fucking shit, okay? And it helps us keep the bills on and pays for my dog's medicine and all that good stuff, okay? No Twitch streams this week. We're moving. Hopefully next week I'll be back. Tomorrow for all our Patreons, it'll be Ask Adam Anything, where I'll be answering a bunch of your random questions. The Rambling Idiot on Friday. No Remember the Game next week. I usually skip the first week of the month so I can catch up on my backlog. But for September, my hopes are to cover X-Men Legends, Mass Effect 3, and Prince of Persia Sands of Time, I think. It was the one that won our poll. That's kind of what I'm shooting for in September. And after that, who knows? We'll make it the fuck up. All right? I'm going to thank some Patreons and get out of here. Thank you all so much for listening. Leave us a nice review if you enjoyed it. I'd appreciate that. I'm not sure what they accomplished, but I'm supposed to ask for them. And we'll talk to you on the next one. Cheers. So long. Goodbye. Remember the Game is brought to you by our Patreons. I could not puke up all the content I churn out every week without all of your support. The following people are at the senior executive vice president level or higher at patreon.com/rememberthegame, which means A, they get invited to the annual company Christmas party, and B, I'm contractually obligated to say all their names as quickly as possible at the end of the show. So in reverse alphabetical order, a huge thank you to Z-Train22, Zonko 504, Zen Paladin, Zane Donovan, Zamatos, Zach Shepard, Youngster TK, X Maverick X, Wyatt the Surgeon Who's Not a Surgeon Row, Wolf Magic 21, Wolfgang Darren, Wimp 15, Wilco, Works For Me, Theo S. Rager, Tyler Bauer, Tyler, Triple, Travis Sanders, Toby O.P., Titan 420, Timothy Sabrinsky, Timmy the Exuberant Turtle, Thomas Smith, The Supreme Chozorizo, Theodore, The Fletchman, The Big Deal, Ted Explosion, Tadpole, T-Bear 87, Super Jess, Super Cyan Sefaroth, Stud Still Smash, Steve Dalp, man, I suck at this. Squints, Squeak Nuts, Spider Cat, Sour Goat Face, Sleeper Hit, Sharonic, Shoeboxers, Shank the Rat Face Bastard, Scotty McGee, Scott Brooks, Scary Terry, Savage Boo, Sham Carpenter, Sabin, S. Rills, Ryan Whitcomb, Ryan Stemmerding, Ryan Perry, Ryan Kinchin, Rush's Dog Walker, Roger Staubach's Pool Cleaner, Robbie Air, Rated Excellent, Randy Barridge, Radioactive Man, Quiet Place Queen, Put It in Age, Postman, Plow King, Pit the Elder. Oh yeah, I was like, is that Barney? But no, Barney's Lord Palmerston. Fill up my mouth with farts. Fill up my farts with mouth. Phil Lencher, Oroku Saki's Gardener. Nothing could possibly go wrong. Nordak, No One Cares. Nick Creature, Nerdy Hybrid. Nahulia Drowdy Tesamato. My Left Nut, Morgan, Monstrous D. Boner, Mizuru, Mr. Jabroni, Mike Maloney, Mercury 869, Mellow Yellow 8787, McCracken, Max Sandin, Max Lagru, Maverick Marty, Matt Zeus, Matt Babadoo, Mark Sneed, Mario Kart Tours, The Superior Mario Kart, fuck Quackshot Ned, Marcus Mendoza, Makeshift Mellow Magic Money, Madam Nutsitch, Lucas Shaman, Lotus, Lord Salazar, Lord Palmerston, Lord Long Run on Huge and Dom the Second, Liquor Like Luigi, Little Bunny Fufu 89, Leroy Restwich, Leo, Laces Out Dan, Kia Pup, Kevin Monroe, Justin Blair, Just Car Pranks, Just a Fish, Juris Dr. Mario. Hang on, I'm going to take a sip of water here. JSK Fusick, Jordan, John of the Adult Children Podcast, Johnny from Virginia, John Woodruff, John M. Watkins, Joe the Sandman, Joe Buck, Jay Nasty 15, Jay Callahan, Timothy, Jeff Bergeron, James L. Francesco, James Clark, Jimmy Williams, Jake Carter, Isaias, Ida Yellow, Itchy Nutsuru, I Like Jorts, they're comfy and easy to wear. I cancel my Netflix to afford this shout out. Horace Earl, Holmes, Hitchy Poo, Hago Waffle, Guy Who Does Things, Growly Wog, Graham Kennedy, Blue Scappin, Gabe, G9PSX, General Fury, Fuzzy 99, Funky C, Funky Do, Frosty Feet 492, Frosty Bear, Faded Sufferance, Fallen Snow Kiku, Eric Hopewell, Eric James, E-Man Trucker, Elijah Burns, Elephant Calves, Earl, Jugs of Bad, okay, Doug Dorn, Doogie Bowser MD, Doogie, Donnie the Dude Walter, Diablo Spartan, Dem Boys on the Roof, Decoy Man, DBXJ, David Schroeder, David Thompson, Dave McGee, Darth Skywalter, Darbles, Daniel, Dan of Dissect That Film, Dan Fusselman, Dazerath, Crystal Lake Management, Confused But Still Here, Combo Chuck, Cody Thompson, Cody Richardson, Chugger22, Christopher Britt, Christian Gabriel, Chris Hill is a master tromboner, Chris Fleury, Chris Duty, Chaz Hammond, Cesar, Carbon Fiber Zombie, Captain Steve N, Can't Destroy Her, Cam Nelly 23, Busty Meadle, Burt Macklin, Bula, Brian Richmond, Brant Hewitt, Brandon DeZeba, B Money, Blobby Rogers, Blaine the Hoagie Man, Because 19, Biddy, Big the Cat, Big Daddy Randall, Benjamin Atkins, Beers of War, Beef Dingleberry, Beaver Boy, Beat on the Moan, Basic Bitch Brian, Band, Atrial Wormwood, A-Town, Archangel Otaku, Angry Tits, and Angry Ticks. Angry Tits are dangerous. Andy Hudson, Andrew Wright, Alexander Camps, Alex Ramos, Alex R., Alex McIntyre, AJ McCurgy, Adam's former assistant, Adam Martinet, Adam Blank still hasn't reviewed Mario Galaxy, Ace McGuy, Aaron Lawson, AB Kellen, a dude named Adam, and no name, it's just blank. And I don't know how to say that one yet, but I guess it would make sense that it would slot in at the top alphabetically and at the bottom reversed alphabetically. Anyways, thanks so much, everybody. Appreciate you, and I'll talk to you in a couple weeks, hopefully for X-Men Legends. That's the plan, but we'll see how it all goes, all right? Take it easy. Cheers.